Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
A very good evening to you, and thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum. We are coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90. Radio 1 is broadcasting from the Central Building here in the heart of our city, Kampala. We are located along the Stool Street, but we are also broadcasting live on our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. On that website, there's an icon with the word Listen Live. You click on it, and as long as you have an internet connection, you'll be able to listen to us loud and clear. This radio station is also live on the different radio listening apps, which can be obtained from the Google Store of your smartphone. You download any, tune in, Afro Mobile, your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. Look for Radio 1 FM 90, and you'll be able to listen to us as long as you have an internet connection. We have another option, which is via DSTV. Our audio channel there is 897. Today, we'll be looking at the planned censure of Commissioners of Parliament, and we're asking a question: will it take it off? Now, a section of legislators led by the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo of Lwemiyaga County have launched efforts for the removal of all 4 parliamentary commissioners over their involvement in the famous 1.7 billion shillings service award, which is said that they shared amongst themselves. Now, the legislators who are behind these efforts stress that the removal of the commissioners will restore the dignity and integrity of Parliament, and also maintain and strengthen the public trust and confidence in the House. Now, the commissioners they are targeting include Esther Afoyochan, who is also the Zombo District Woman MP, Prossy Akampulira, who is the Rubanda District Woman MP, Silwany, who is the Bukooli Central MP, and Mathias Mpuuga, who is from Nyendo-Mukungwe in Masaka. Now, the MPs accused these members of the Parliamentary Commission of misconduct, and they said they allegedly made a deal to award themselves with that 1.7 billion shilling award. Now, as set out by the rules of procedure, the censure motion will require support of at least 177 MPs who must append their signatures on the motion before the elaborate and tedious process of censure commences. Now, the other MPs in this team includes the Honorable Joseph Seungu Kalungu West MP, Patrick Oshabe Nsamba from Kasanda North, the Honorable Sarah Opendi, Tororo District Woman MP, and York Alion, who is the Aringa South County MP. Let's look at the process of censure. What does it require? In order for a commissioner to be removed, there are grounds which are set. They include incompetence, inability to perform the functions of his or her office, arising from infirmity of the body or mind, misbehavior, misconduct, insanity, or incompetence. The rules also require that the motion for the resolution of the removal of a commissioner shall be initiated by a notice in writing to the Clerk of Parliament, signed by not less than 1/3 of all voting members of Parliament, indicating their intention for moving the motion for the removal. Now, with the 527 voting members that we have, 1/3 of the voting member comes to slightly 176. The rules also say the notice shall indicate the grounds for the motion and all the particulars supporting the grounds. Then the clerk is required to, within 3 days upon receipt of the motion, to notify Parliament by causing the notice, grounds, and the particulars supporting the grounds of the proposed motion to be pinned on the member's notice board. He is also required, in not later than 24 hours, to transmit the notice of motion, the grounds, and all supporting particulars and signatures to the Speaker for further management. Now, the rules also say that a signature appended to the notice shall not be withdrawn. Once you append your signature on that notice, there is no way you can withdraw it. Then the rules also say the motion shall be placed on the order paper for 14 days from the date on which the notice to remove the commissioner shall have been communicated to the clerk. So roughly 2 weeks from the time the notice is given by those intending to move the motion. The rules also say the motion should be served on the commissioner, and at the hearing, he or she should be required to appear in person, be given a hearing to defend himself or herself, and shall be entitled to legal representation in line with the Constitution. It also stresses that the debate on the motion for the removal of a person from office shall take precedence over all other debates on the order paper for the day, implying that once the motion is put on the order paper, it will be given priority over all the other issues that are on the order paper. Now, during the debate, the rules say any member may, with the leave of the Speaker, and on giving adequate notice, produce additional evidence in support of his or her argument. When the Speaker is satisfied that the motion has been adequately debated, the Speaker shall call upon the person who is being removed from office to answer issues raised in the debate, and then call upon the chief petitioner to wind up the debate. And then finally, the commissioner shall be removed upon a vote of at least half of all voting members of Parliament. Currently we have 527 members of Parliament. So those who are supposed to vote must be half of that number, 527, which roughly comes to 263 members or 264 members of that particular house. So we have seen attempts in the past to have censures carried out in Parliament, but sometimes they have fallen through. They have not yielded any results because they have not received the necessary support, because like you've heard here, it is a tedious and elaborate process. You have to collect signatures, you have to inform the Clerk of Parliament. The Clerk of Parliament will pin on the notice board where all members must go and append their signatures. When you attain the required signatures, 177 in this case, then the motion will be removed from the notice board and then taken to the office of the Speaker. And the question we're asking this evening, can this team actually pull this off? Is it easy to actually censure a Commissioner of Parliament as articulated in this particular document? My guest this evening will be the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, who is the Lwemiyaga County MP. He's the one actually leading this team, and he will be here shortly to respond to some of these issues. But keep your comments coming via WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Tell us, what do you think about this effort being undertaken? There's been a big debate about this so-called service award. The background being that at a certain time the Parliamentary Commission sat and decided to reward all those commissioners whose term had expired. From the records that we have seen and from the information that has been gathered, the Honorable Mathias Mpuuga was to receive 500 million shillings, while the others were also supposed to receive 400 million shillings each. Now they are being accused for taking part in a meeting that decided what they should actually be given, and there are also questions around whether it was necessary to actually award them in this manner, with some people suggesting that they should not be receiving that kind of award because their work is to serve in Parliament, and therefore whatever work they did is already paid for, looking at the emoluments and monies that are always paid to them. So how possible is it actually to pull this off? Well, one should also remember this particular issue of service award has been at the center of the sharp disagreement in the NUP party that we had a discussion on here yesterday, to the effect that Honorable Mathias Mpuuga was required to resign from the position of commissioner by his political party, the NUP, who insisted that by engaging in this service award scheme. He apparently fell short of the requirements and the rules that govern the NUP party, but he later actually said he does not perceive this kind of money as corruption. At one point he said he had not received it, and as we speak now, it's not very clear whether they have actually received this money. We intend also to have that kind of issue answered by the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, who is almost here in studio to have a discussion with us. And thank you very much, Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, for actually making time to be with us on Spectrum this evening.
Thank you, Ken, and good evening, listeners.
Well, you come in a little bit late, and we have lost quite some time, to be exact, about 10 minutes.
Sure.
I've been trying to explain to the listener the tedious process that you are likely to undertake in order to actually have this censure to be seen in Parliament. Why are you interested in having 4 leaders who actually sit in the highest body of Parliament to actually plan for you members of Parliament?
Thank you once again. Allow me to thank you for holding forth. I came listening in. You prepared well the audience and the listeners. And I'm happy to be here tonight to throw light on some of these issues. And to me, I think this is the right thing to do. You've raised an issue, first of all, that why, what causes this. You see, we have a duty to the people of Uganda who elected us to discharge business on their behalf. You see, if it were possible, all the 48 million Ugandans would have been having a parliament. But because that's impossible, they have representatives in the name of members of parliament. Now, once you are there, before you even set your foot inside the parliament, you swear to uphold the constitution, to uphold and defend the constitution. And the constitution provides for all this and all the laws of the country. Number 2, it is your duty as a member of parliament to do the right thing. Because the body we are elected to is the third arm of government with very extensive powers, the oversight function. We hold agencies, ministries, departments accountable. We hold them to account. And number 3, we represent the people. So in all those aspects, the oversight function needs a person of high moral integrity and standing in society. You can't let your guards down over that. The moment you lose that, then you've lost your moral high ground. As an institution, as a member of parliament, who hold all these others accountable, but surprisingly you don't want to be held accountable as well. And this is a contradiction that we thought members in their right minds and in their right disposal and standing ought to be at the forefront of this effort.
All right. Now, there's been a debate about this so-called service award. In some places, we are actually told it's legal. The commission can sit at any time and decide on the welfare of MPs and also take a decision similar to this. From the documents that we saw that were leaked, the meeting was even minuted. People attended, appended their signatures, resolution was taken, and money are budgeted for. There's also another issue, whether these commissioners did actually receive that money. One of the person who was in the hot seat, the Honorable Mathias Mpuuga, actually insisted at that point, when this issue was in the public domain, that he had not received any money, but he was expecting it. Can we know the basis under which you're acting now, given those two facts put on the table?
Thank you, Ken. Let me hope you're not jumping the gun at this point. But what there is to say is that these are matters that are well documented, with good evidence. Number 2, even the persons you're talking about, what is this? I don't know, probably you were in the past. Mpuuga recently said he doesn't regret getting that money. Number 3,
Do you have proof that they actually got the money?
hold your fire. Because there is no way you can start on a motion without evidence.
Okay.
And at that appropriate time, that's when we shall table the same. But we are not shy from sharing this. This is public information. I want to restate that this is public information. And we are ready. And even those persons named, I'm surprised. They didn't, you assuming that probably it is in the process, but these are matters of 6 July 2022 and funds, money changing hands, etc. But suffice it to say, Ken, that for you to say the whole issue was legal because minutes are there, minutes can be there, but minutes for an illegality. Minutes themselves does not sanitize or legitimize the process. You can have dubious mission or assignment, but you back it up with minutes. But most importantly, even then, going by your words, to say that yes, members sat, what does the leadership code provide for? What do the rules, the various rules cited in our petition, what do they point out? Even at that point in time, where you sat, you met, as you are saying, and indeed you agreed, and you debated a matter where you have pecuniary interest, where you have interest in, is forbidden, is by itself offends the law. You can't deliberate on matters where you have personal interest, and you get away with it, even leaving it at that. But now, I can even further add that I've been in that parliament. The records of parliament are clear. Recently, there was some effort to that towards that end, where the Auditor General was made to also get a service award. But it was through a substantive motion brought on the floor of Parliament. Now you're looking at one. Apart from the service award, there are others contained well in our motion, in our petition, which you are having. But all I can say is that from whatever point of view, this was below the expected standards. This was below the code of conduct of leaders. This is offending the laws of the country. The so-called service award is alien. It is not known in our laws. It's alien.
Well, I've read somewhere.
And lastly,
I've read somewhere in the Administrative of Parliament Act where there's a word service award.
You see, that service award is not this you are talking about.
Which one is
the
that?
The service award comes at the end of the tenure. And it is on a particular motion that someone has served this institution or has performed these duties diligently, blah, 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 as the citation can be. And there, at the end of the service, there you stand to be... Who tells you that every service award is money? Who tells you? It comes in many ways in recognition. But lastly, Ken, I remember you fervently and you were covering that parliament. Just in the last parliament, you remember when Uganda was battling Heritage, the oil giant, and Talu, and there was a farm down, and they refused to pay, and a team of lawyers from Uganda Revenue Authority, from the Attorney General's
handshake. They call it the famous handshake.
It is the service award. Came, but the point I'm making now is that parliament took up the matter and investigated it and proscribed it and set strong recommendations, and indeed it castigated the same. Parliament, like other legal institutions, we follow precedents. The first precedent leads to another, and it must be consistent and must be followed. So what has happened? We are only the 11th parliament. We cannot act as if there was no 10th parliament. More particularly where Parliament is one of its biggest instruments is the Hansard, the record. That record of the 10th Parliament is there. The 9th Parliament is there. So we are only privileged to serve in the 11th Parliament. It doesn't mean that Parliament has just originated now, that we are the ones who have established Parliament, that institution called Parliament. There has been Parliament, this is the 11th, and many more Parliaments are coming ahead of us. So we need to be very, very careful as to how we discharge our duties now, because we are not the first so-called honorable members of Parliament. There are others before us, and there are certainly others after us. So to that extent, I don't want to hear somebody hiding behind service award. But put it differently. Now you can even break it down. Service award, serving over what? Someone is just embarking on a term. Just starting. My friend, how do you term that? You are just starting, and then you are given accolades. The accolades, the distinguished service can only be measured at the end of your service, but not when you are commencing service. And as you can see, the dates, and anybody who may attempt to falsify the dates will be in big trouble, because we have the exact dates. We know the time, we know who sat, we know how it was executed, and we are saying all that is offending the law, and members of Parliament must lead by example.
Right. There have been attempts in Parliament to have these issues discussed. You yourself, you've been on the floor several times to have this matter discussed. And your Speaker, the Speaker of Parliament, has been on record to dismiss this kind of debate, saying Parliament cannot entertain what has been reported in the press or what has actually been shared out on social media. Is your motion based on the documents that were circulated around social media?
No.
Will this motion be allowed by the Speaker in the House, who has already taken a stance?
But you see, the Speaker has immense powers from the Constitution to our rules of procedure. So the Speaker can, within her ambit, rule on a matter in one way or the other. Once she has formed an opinion, once it is in the best judgment, she gives a position or guidance or ruling. Okay? Those are the powers given to the Speaker, and I do not begrudge them.
And what I'm saying, there's already a ruling on record on this issue.
But I'm coming to that. But even in this case, if you happen to ask me for the Hansard is clear. But at that time when these matters started popping up, we are having ministerial policy statements. And the observation of the Speaker, probably she was right. She said, you see, we are busy. We have the timelines. Yes, your issue needs to be discussed and debated, but let us first handle this. We can have it after. Now, several other reminders. She maintained saying, yes, I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware. She did not at any stage say, I don't want to hear that, or I'm ruling you out of order, or it's not necessary. No. The only problem is that the time she kept on extending the urges of the debate, we thought at that point in time, you see, there are two processes. One is to seek the Speaker's indulgence. Say from her communication, you can raise a matter. Or after a matter is discussed, you can try to chip in. That is one process where you seek her indulgence to allow a matter to be debated or to be brought on the floor of Parliament. But even if that wasn't the case, these rules of procedure provide us with the avenues through which we can navigate our motions on the floor of Parliament. For instance, I had you reading the procedure. Once you have a matter, and this can be handled in two ways, there is the other informal way. As you can see, there are motions that can be moved without notice. But then there are those motions, the same matter can be moved differently by way of a motion. You use the motion as now a vehicle. Now, the good thing with a motion that is formal is that you file a notice. Now the entire process thereafter is self-executing. If you file a notice, if you tender in your notice, it is given specific days under which it must be considered, and then whether the Speaker is of the view that it is urgent now or never, the time frames embedded in these rules will have the matter brought onto the floor of Parliament. And I don't want to take it that the Speaker probably is disinclined to have this matter. I don't want to put it onto the Speaker. Probably it hadn't been properly and formally put forward as we have now. Done now. So I hope in this way, once a notice is filed, the timeline start running, and the Speaker would have no any other option rather than having the matter put on the order paper for debate.
All right, Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. My guest this evening, the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, Lwemiyaga County MP. He's from the NRM party. He's leading a team of other members of Parliament, the Honorable Joseph Sewungu, Patrick Oshabe Nsamba, the Honorable Sarah Opendi, and York Alion from Aringa County South. They are pushing for a motion that seeks to remove commissioners of Parliament from office over the alleged service award. Money, 1.7 billion shillings that were apparently given, they gave to themselves under the Parliamentary Commission. Now stay tuned to Radio 1 FM 90. When we return, the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo will be responding to a number of issues, but also keep your comments coming on the WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are looking at the planned censure of commissioners of Parliament, and the question we're asking, will it take off? This is based on the fact that in the past we have seen such efforts being dogged down by failure of MPs to actually append their signature to support such a motion. My guest this evening is the Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, Lwemiyaga County MP, who is leading that censure effort. They want to remove from the Parliamentary Commission the Honorable Esther Afoyochan, the Zombo District Woman MP, Prossy Akampulira, Rubanda District Woman MP, the Honorable Silwany, Bukooli Central MP, and Mathias Mpuuga, the Nyendo-Mukungwe MP. All the four are members of the Parliamentary Commission, and they are being accused for awarding themselves a total of 1.7 billion shillings as a thank you in what is called the Service Award Scheme. Now, Honorable Theodore Ssekikubo, when this story came out that you're actually planning to commence a censure motion against the four, some people were saying, wait a minute, this was a meeting, there were a number of other people who attended it, it was even chaired by a speaker herself. And the question is, why is she not on the list? Why are other people who are members of the commission but are maybe ex-officials in the House not on this list?
No, but what you can read
Why
from...
only the four?
Yeah, but what you can read from the minutes, not the commission, not all members of the commission were present in that particular meeting. No, not all of them were present. Number two, yes, it is the Right Honourable Speaker who chaired the meeting, but...
And he entertained the debate on this issue.
But probably here and there, we shall get the details. The chair can always be misled.
Is that so?
I don't want to be the one speaking on her behalf. I don't want to be.
No, I'm putting it to you because as a commission, they sit as a group.
No.
They take a decision,
No.
and they are bound by collective responsibility.
No.
So they should all be
The rules.
on the motion.
Please, for those who didn't attend, who didn't participate in that, I beg to leave them out of this. Though,
Okay, the people who
though I don't know when the minutes were later passed.
According to what we saw, the Prime Minister, Robin Anabanja, the Minister of Finance, Mathias Mpuuga, were the people who were absent from that meeting. The rest attended.
The rest like who?
Do you remember Mathias Mpuuga in his capacity as a leader of opposition? Do you remember Afoyochan, Zombo Woman MP, Prossy Akampulira, Rubanda District Woman MP, Silwany, Bukooli Central MP, and
I think
the Speaker of Parliament,
but I think
Anita Mong, who chaired the meeting.
But I think those are the ones who are the subject of this motion. Hey, those members you've read.
There are 4 who are subject of this motion, and the Speaker chaired the meeting.
No, the Speaker I can understand, but what I'm saying is that the 4 you are talking about are the very persons who are subject of this motion. And from the outset I said, were they competently sitting in that meeting and deciding on matters where they had vested interests? So that can come at a later stage. But now as for the Speaker, let the Speaker discharge her duties. Because if she chaired it, yes, let it be. But for this particular motion, we know the difference between the commissioners and the Speaker.
Can you chair a meeting and you're not bound by its decisions?
Excuse me. These are different perspectives. For you are saying you should be held accountable. Yes. But for this particular motion, the one in your hands, we are looking at the commissioners. The Speaker can be blamed in her right as the chairperson, as the one who chaired the meeting, but nowhere there did she partake with a shilling in the minutes you're talking about.
Okay, so about the person who took the money.
It isn't only the intention, but the taking, the physical taking. The persons you are talking about there, yes, probably you can say there were 5. But those whom we are faulting are 4. And for you now to extend it to the Speaker, I think now you really...
Well, for me, I'm looking I'm looking at the body called the Parliamentary Commission.
Yes, you can
raise... comprised of commissioners.
Yes.
And by that, she's part of the commission.
In that meeting, she chaired the meeting as the Speaker, not a commissioner.
All right.
She sits on the commission. She chairs the commission.
All right.
In that capacity, she was the Speaker. But now where we go to the trail, we wait from that meeting to see what has been the disbursement of this 1.7 billion. Has she taken 10 shillings? And our answer so far, and even then when you look at the minutes, is none.
All right.
Now, if these members, for us on our audit trail, we are looking where did the 1.7 billion go? Who shared it?
All right.
And certainly, really, unless for other reasons, but in this particular instance, the grounds of the motion, you'd find that whether you like it or not, she's out of the loop.
All right. Now, I've already pointed to you that the Speaker was a little bit not forthcoming when you attempted to raise this issue as a matter of national importance, and you're saying there's need for Parliament to sanitize itself, to have a discussion on this issue. And then she said this was media reports, there was no concrete proof, and she could not entertain such information in the House. Now, we have a House where we actually told that the majority of the MPs are actually under her control. You know, how do you measure the numbers to actually support this motion that a motion touching on an issue that she basically indicated she's not interested in?
I can understand your fears. But at the end of the day, Ken, each member is voted individually to come to the House. Each member. And each member is accountable to his or her voters. Each member of Parliament. Now, whether the Speaker wields overwhelming powers over members of Parliament, that is their choice. And we are saying this is wrong because members are directly accountable to their actions. Like now in this particular motion, the question arises, where did you stand on that matter? And that one, you are not answering it to the members of Parliament here in Kampala. Once you go back to your people, which side did you stand? On which side did you stand? Which position did you take when the question of accountability came on the floor of Parliament? And some just 2 issues. You see, the Speaker is one among equals. She's our boss. But every member of Parliament that goes to Parliament and qualifies to be a member of Parliament equally qualifies to be the Speaker. Now, if members of Parliament display subservience, that is their problem. I know the Speaker must use her powers judiciously and fairly because she's the head of the institution. She is our boss. But her being our boss is in as far as the business of Parliament is concerned. Elsewhere, members, they run away from their responsibility. They shy away from their duty. And that one, I don't want to mention the Speaker. It is the members themselves. Members themselves, this is the time. This is the time. If they choose to hide their head, they shouldn't hide behind the Speaker. The Speaker has how we're going to carry. And this one now is for members of Parliament. But lastly, when you say that the Honourable Speaker dismissed the efforts to have the matter debated,
and she said, you can talk your nonsense.
But for me, the first time I've been in that house, it is only in the 11th Parliament that I've seen a commissioner lose her position in Parliament on the commission, and that is Honourable Francis Zake. And the issues were on WhatsApp. His communication on WhatsApp are the ones that were retrieved and brought onto the floor of Parliament. So already a precedent has been set. So what are you talking about? I'm waiting to see the Speaker running away from that position. I'm waiting. But I know, let us not impute bad motive. Let us not say that even this time around, it is going to be the same. But we have told you we've gone ahead, apart from that, and tried to gather credible evidence. At the time of tabling of our motion, everything shall come to light.
You know, there's a saying in Luganda that when you're chasing someone, you better reserve some energy to make sure that you're safe when they start chasing you. You know that famous saying?
Yes, yes.
Well, I have learned that there's a counter motion likely to be filed against you as a team for apparently bringing the House into disrepute by continuing to raise an issue that was already ruled on and dismissed by the House. Are you ready for that battle, that there's a likelihood
I don't
numbers are going to be marshaled and it will be you to leave the House instead of the commissioners that you're targeting?
I don't want to believe that the House, the 11th Parliament, has degenerated to that absurdity. I wouldn't want to believe so.
Well, politics.
That the 11th Parliament...
Politics is a game of daggers.
That the 11th Parliament has gone way below anybody's expectation and standard.
Well, you've been around Parliament for quite some time.
It hasn't.
To see how things
It
can
hasn't.
suddenly change.
But these rules protect sanity in that House. Let's not discuss emancipation. If indeed this is the issue at hand, we shall confront it. And number two, you are saying for you, if you are chasing, you must reserve energies. What are we chasing? For us, no. For us, no.
The commission.
Wouldn't seem to be the ones who are relentless hunters chasing after some member. No, that would be personal. But we are standing on a principle. And the moment we've outlined our principles, we take our seats. We lay back and see what they have to say. But I think without even going that far, it is still up to the commissioners, the embattled commissioners, to take this in good faith. And they can choose to step down if they so wish. If they don't, we shall remain with no other option than putting the issues before them, and the consequences are there for them to see.
All right, you're Theodore Ssekikubo. You're one of the senior legislators in that House, and one of the reasons you're pushing for this particular censure is, according to your document, to restore dignity, integrity, and also maintain public trust and confidence in the House. Those are some of the issues that you're putting across as the markers to push for this motion. Now, there are people out there who actually think that even before this kind of scandal came out, Parliament had already lost public trust, integrity, dignity, and even the confidence that it should be enjoying from members of the public. You know, there have been numerous reports about under-dealings taking place in Parliament. We have heard about committees receiving money from people who are supposed to be witnesses. We have heard about allowances. We have heard about certain scandals. We have heard about MPs receiving money to the extent that some people have said even these days you budget for corruption. In other words, when you are appropriating the budget, you somehow include money in the budget that will apparently be used to help you when you are in trouble. Yet this entire country is facing tough economic situations.
You see, members of parliament are entitled to funds and monies from the Parliamentary Commission. If that's where we put the money, probably that is where it should belong.
No, we have had reports MPs are receiving 50 million, MPs are receiving 500 million. Towards the Christmas period, we had you were receiving money. This very year, we had you had gone back to get the balances, and we have had your colleagues in the opposition talking about it.
You see,
what
Ken,
kind of integrity are we looking at here?
Ken, I want to ask you this. Are you giving up on Parliament then? Does two wrongs make a right? I cannot stand here. I cannot sit here. I cannot sit here.
I'm saying too little, too late. Honorable Ssekikubo.
You mean nothing to salvage of that house? There's nothing to salvage of that house.
Well, the jury is out there.
Now, what I'm saying, yes, there can be pitfalls here and there, but there is the Parliament. And the moment you run down that institution called Parliament, it is the country that is at a loss. There's no winner, and there's no winner in this, where we say, as a country, we have lost respect, we have lost dignity, we have lost the mandate and trust in our house. That is very, very dangerous. Don't welcome it. Because the moment we lose hope, then everything is lost.
All right.
And lastly, for me, I think we have the 11th Parliament. Yes, there are pitfalls here and there, but it doesn't mean that it is totally down and out. There are pitfalls, there are lessons we can learn, but most importantly, we need to sustain the country. This country can't be lost to a few cases here and there, because that is a parliament of 559 members who sit in that house. Can you account for each and every action of those members of parliament? For instance, can I speak on their behalf as I'm seated here? Are they all in this Radio 1 studios? They are not here. So I cannot be certain as to what is happening elsewhere with members of parliament. But all I'm saying, as long as it crosses our path, I know out there, I know that house is composed of men and women of integrity. That's why when one bad apple is put in a basket, we should rise up to say that no, even if I'm yellow, I'm NRM, he is red, nope, he is FDC, he is DP, but we rose together collectively as Uganda.
Right.
And therefore we put aside our party differences and we sort out this problem. And once it arises, we cannot flinch, we cannot run away from our duty. We have to stand up to the duty.
All right, we have comments coming in from the listener. I'll begin with this comment from Okello, who actually says, hello, Ken. The Honorable Ssekikubo is not being honest. The same meeting that awarded the 1.7 billion to backbencher commissioners also increased the per diem of the speaker from 900k to 4 million per night. So it was a quid pro quo meeting, and AAA should equally be censured. That's a comment there from one listener. We have another comment very quickly coming in from Apollo K, who says, Honorable Ssekikubo is losing all credibility with this motion. Why is he not going for the speaker, who in this case abused our office as chair of the commission to give this unconstitutional and fraudulent handshake? This selective persecution of members of the commission is despicable. We had all the trust in Honorable Ssekikubo, but now all hope is lost. No wonder he was embarrassed by the same speaker, and he was just recoiled his tail. We have another comment. Innocent Opio Rising said, hello, Radio 1. I'm streaming live from Addis Ababa. Thank you very much for joining us. The Honorables know that the moment they include the speaker's name, it's not possible for the motion to go through. All in all, we have seen that movie before. How do you chair a meeting and you're separated from the decisions that have come from the meeting? Parliament and politics is just for eating. Somebody actually said at one point that Parliament is the bribe. That comment was trending not so long ago. Then we have another comment from Okello Patrick Bonyo from Busega. These MPs are just playing to the gallery. It's not the first time for MPs to moot such motion, which died naturally. You are consulting the one in charge of parliamentary affairs, and you expect the motion to go through. There will be no headway whatsoever. Even just getting MPs to sign that sheet will be a hard work, and even if it goes to stage 1, there will be no quorum to pass it. We are used to such scandal. Nothing surprises us anymore. Franco from Kawempe says, you can't chair a meeting and you are not bound by the outcome of the proceedings. Then we have another comment. In my view, the only way should not be for a person in an elective position or politically appointed individual and individuals, because they are meant to serve in the public. And the civic award, in my view, must not be cash or any other asset exceeding a certain amount. This, for me, would let folks appreciate the position rather than the the enrichment component. They could give medals of competence. That's another suggestion there. Henry Chruenda writes in and says, good evening, Kenneth. Mr. Ssekikubo is simply sloganeering. Is there a budget for awards? If you have just stepped on the pitch, you cannot score a winning goal. We have seen the NRM, the Prime Minister flagging off returned Mabati. We did not see the offload pictures in Karamoja. Those cheap debates for diverting a country from real issues. Let Honorable Ssekikubo move a motion on the sanctions of the Speaker by the UK. A number of comments coming in there, Honorable Ssekikubo, but very quickly, if you can respond to some of those and see if we can take more. They should have been thrown out by yesterday because they do not have the credibility to serve in office. Can a hyena legislate credibility after testing the meat? That's a comment coming in from Rico there. Very quickly, if you can respond to some of these issues, and we take more.
You see, where the country slides into despondency is a very serious state of affairs. So, maybe, should we consider it as nihilism creeping in? Nihilism is where you say, no, we don't need any government, we don't need any state apparatus. No. Now, why are you advocating for nihilism?
Well, these are the views of the people.
No, you see, they are distinguished views, and I respect them. But I'm only countering it to say that, is everything lost? Should we go back home? Look, you are talking about this parliament. But this parliament is a mirror of society. It is the people who are sent here. Excuse me. Who am I to judge members of parliament? Who am I? Because these are whom people thought were the best. And once people made that judgment, it is their right to judge so. And I cannot stand here to claim moral high ground to be a judge of my colleagues. No, I cannot be. And I wouldn't want to tempt myself to thinking so. Every member is held accountable for his or her actions. And this is the point we are putting forward. Every member should be held accountable to his or her actions. And in time, a question shall arise that at that time, what was your position on the issue of corruption starting in Parliament? Ken, I've been in this house, in that Parliament. But every Parliament has a defining moment. The defining moment for the 10th Parliament was Tujikwataku. That's where 90% of the members either lost or made their way back to Parliament. It depended on which position and on which side members stood on the question of Jikwateko over Tujikwataku. Even now, the way I'm seeing it, this is a defining moment for members of Parliament.
All right.
And I can assure you, for every Parliament, the members who happily ousted my former colleagues in the 10th Parliament are now in the hot seat.
All right.
Because those who are competing against us, they are closely watching. And I'm telling you, the hazards is going to be photocopied. I'm telling you, the newspapers are going to be photocopied and distributed to communities.
And they will be used.
And I'm telling members in the 11th Parliament that what they used to harpoon their predecessors in the 10th Parliament is going to be used against us.
All right, we have more comments coming in. The person running down that Parliament is the Speaker, and sadly there is no one enough in that house to challenge her. We are petitioning the President to dissolve that Parliament. It's just a burden on taxpayers for nothing. Parliament can't be a mirror of society that doesn't want to associate with it. That's another comment. Ugandans must wage war against corruption. All corruption or corrupt people must surrender their position once implicated. Why should they only be censured and remain entering that house? The same energy must be put on murderers. That's the panga-wielding thieves. Those ones should be put on firing squad straight away. Uganda must be a free country for all of us. Then we have a comment coming in from Nelly in Kisasi. Our parliament is merely existing to eat and eat. All is lost. All the 559 members growing fat from our taxes. We have Samuel Meriga writing in and saying, Kenneth, thank you for the show. Commission to commissioners and law wouldn't have been bad, but the problem, it started with them and ending with them. It should have been a proposal that a reward is given to all the incoming LOPs and the commissioners. Anthony from Chibuli. Good evening, Spectrum. That award is called Service Award. So if that award is not Service Award, please tell us what it is called. Be straight, because I can see that your argument has no ground for impeachment. That's Anthony from Kibuli. Honorable Ssekikubo knows very well manipulations, buying votes, and other nefarious acts MPs engage in to get or retain their parliamentary seats. Is he any different? Somebody is asking. Well, those are some of the comments that are coming in. Honorable Ssekikubo should be honest to himself first and rest of Ugandans by accepting that the very few members of parliament, if any, are honest in their dealings when it comes to money. They only call to account when they are not in the hot seat, irrespective of what the laws say.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. Brought to you by Housing Finance Bank, a financial institution regulated by Bank of Uganda. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy.
The views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of this radio station or its management.